Old Hollywood sparkled with champagne dreams, velvet gowns, and movie stars who seemed larger than life. But behind that shimmering curtain of fame was a far more chilling reality, a world built on control, manipulation, and secrets that could destroy lives. Studios weren't just production houses, they were kingdoms, ruling over actors like property. They controlled what you saw, what you believed, and what their stars could never reveal. Beneath the dazzling lights, child actors were exploited, scandals were rewritten, and tragedies were disguised as accidents. Behind every perfect smile was fear. Fear of losing everything, fear of being exposed, fear of being forgotten. These stories aren't just whispers from the past. They're true accounts buried beneath decades of Hollywood polish. From stars who vanished without a trace to contracts that turned icons into slaves, to the painful realities hidden behind glamour. This is the side of old Hollywood you were never meant to see. So tonight we're pulling back the curtain to reveal the truth behind the fantasy. Because the golden age wasn't always golden, and sometimes the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. Shirley Temple and her lost childhood earnings. Shirley Temple was Hollywood's brightest child star, a tiny tornado of curls, dimples, and infectious joy in the midst of the Great Depression. At just 5 years old, she was already carrying the weight of entire studios. But beneath the sugar-sweet songs and dance numbers, a far more complex story was unfolding. A story of contracts, money, trust, and how a fortune built on innocence could slip away from the one who earned it. Born in 1928 in Santa Monica, Temple's rise was meteoric. By the age of 4 or 5, she was dancing in short films, the baby burlesques, and being scouted for bigger roles. A contract with 20th Century Fox granted her $150 a week at first, and later she was paid $50,000 per film once her box office draw exploded. She starred in dozens of hits like Bright Eyes, Curly Top, Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, and more. Her face was everywhere on posters, dolls, merchandise. Adults in Hollywood could see the value she had. As she once put it, she helped save Fox Studios from bankruptcy with her box office appeal. But the money she earned seldom felt like hers. Her parents, especially her father George Temple, managed her career and business affairs. Though Shirley Temple earned over $3 million in her early career, an almost unimaginable sum for a child in the 1930s, when she later examined her trust account, she found only about $44,000 remained. The rest had vanished or been spent. Investments made poorly, money used for luxuries, expenses that drained her funds, trust arrangements that were poorly enforced, studio contracts that skimped on protections. Even allowance payments for Shirley were tiny compared to what was coming in. She reportedly got as little as $10 or $75 per week, while her images, singing recordings, dolls, and brand licensing made huge profits.
Judy Garland's forced diet pills and studio abuse. Judy Garland was the voice of hope, the girl who clicked her heels and captured hearts, but behind the glitter and unforgettable voice, Judy's life was marked by relentless pressure, from poverty, early stardom, and a studio system that demanded more than was human. From her early teens, she became subject to rules not of art, but of image. Every frame, every song, every expression was measured not only for performance, but for weight, for slimness, for a body that fit a fantasy. She was merely 14 when MGM began to push her into diets and stimulants. Studio executives scrutinized her appearance with cold precision. They worried about her petite stature, her changing body. Under demands to stay cute, they prescribed what were then called pet pills, amphetamines that would suppress appetite, force energy, and demand performance beyond what any young person should bear. Her mother, her manager, studio doctors, all complicit, often insisting she survive on black coffee, chicken soup, cigarettes, strict control of meals, all to keep her slim enough for tight costumes, revealing roles, endless dance numbers. Garland later said that it was less overt pain than constant, gnawing hunger, of body, of self-worth. During filming of The Wizard of Oz, the cruelty peaked. She was expected to deliver breathtaking performances over grueling schedules, with early call times, late nights, long shoots. When exhaustion came, as it always did, she was given sleeping pills, barbiturates, to numb the body, to still the mind. Then, shortly after rest, the amphetamines again. Wake up, belt out songs, perform dances in Technicolor, smile for the camera, keep the magic alive. Her internal world grew tumultuous. She was told she was fat, even when she was clearly underweight. She resented not only the words, but how they shaped her self-image for life. She felt her vocal cords, her mind, herself blurred, Was she Judy the actress or Judy the commodity? She wrote of feeling body-shamed, looked at, judged, and always found wanting, and always the pills, both the upper and the downer, the stimulant and the sedative, the promise of performance and the hideous cost. There were days when she would hide from the studio, refuse to eat, yet be called in because shots had to be done. On set, she sometimes saw extras, costume staff, people who barely acknowledged her pain. Sometimes she was shamed, sometimes she was bribed with praise if she lost weight, sometimes she was ordered to starve. These stories survived in memoirs, in her own later interviews, in the quiet confession of those who watched her suffer.
Rock Hudson's secret sexuality and Hollywood's cover-up. On the screen, Rock Hudson was every woman's dream, tall, charming, and impossibly handsome. But behind that perfectly polished smile lay a secret that Hollywood worked tirelessly to hide, a secret that, if exposed in his time, could have destroyed him completely. He was the image of the American leading man, the rugged cowboy, the romantic hero, the man every audience wanted and every man envied. Yet the world never really knew the truth. Rock Hudson, the biggest male movie star of the 1950s, was living a life that was never his own. Born Roy Harold Scherer Jr. in Winnetka, Illinois in 1925, Hudson had humble beginnings. He grew up shy, often isolated, with a complicated relationship with his parents. After serving in the Navy during World War II, he moved to Los Angeles, chasing the same dream thousands of others had, to be discovered, to be seen, to be someone. His looks got him noticed quickly. Standing over 6 feet tall with that sculpted jawline and soft-spoken charm, he caught the attention of talent scouts who saw potential not just for an actor, but for an icon. But there was a problem. In post-war America, a man's masculinity was sacred, and Hudson's secret life didn't fit the narrative Hollywood wanted to sell. When he signed with Universal Pictures, the studio completely reshaped him. They gave him a new name, Rock Hudson, strong, American, unforgettable. They trained him to walk, talk, and act like the ultimate heterosexual leading man. Behind closed doors, studio executives also made it clear if his secret ever got out, his career would be over. In the 1950s, being openly gay in Hollywood was professional suicide. The gossip magazines, fueled by studio publicists, ran endless stories about Rock's supposed love life with actresses. The studio even staged fake dates and photo ops with starlets. Women like Phyllis Gates, who later became his wife, were part of an elaborate charade designed to protect the illusion. The marriage between Rock Hudson and Phyllis Gates lasted only 3 years, ending quietly in 1958. To the public, it was portrayed as a sad case of two people growing apart. Behind the scenes, it was just another piece of the studio's careful cover-up. Years later, Gates would claim she didn't know about Rock Hudson's sexuality when they married, but others who worked closely with them suggested otherwise.
Gene Spangler's disappearance. Gene Spangler was a hopeful in Hollywood's extras world, a dancer, a mother, an actress with small credits, barely noticed. But on one October evening in 1949, she slipped away from her life in Los Angeles and vanished. What followed became one of the Golden Age's most haunting mysteries, a purse in a park, a cryptic note, rumors whispered, and questions that have never been answered. On that day, Jean kissed her young daughter Christine goodbye. She told her sister-in-law Sophie that she was going to meet her ex-husband Dexter Benner to discuss a late child support payment, then head to a night shoot on a movie set. She'd be home in the morning, she said, but she never returned. Shops closed, lights dimmed, and the city that had once seemed so full of possibility suddenly held its breath. 2 lonely days later, her purse was found near the Ferndale entrance to Griffith Park, its straps torn as though ripped from her arm. Inside, a note addressed to someone named Kirk read, "Kirk, can't wait any longer. Going to see Dr. Scott. It will work best this way while Mother is away." No signature. An aborted sentence, a desperate urgency. The infamous Kirk prompted investigators to glance at Kirk Douglas. She had recently worked as an extra in Young Man with a Horn, a film starring Douglas. He denied knowing her well, though later admitted to light chatter on set. The name Dr. Scott remained even more elusive. No medical practitioner could be confirmed under that name in her social circle. No record emerged. Jean had been 3 months pregnant at the time, according to friends. In that era, abortion was illegal, and the whispered rumors suggested she feared what might come next. Some speculated the note was about that. Others wondered if Dr. Scott might represent someone dangerous, perhaps someone who exploited young women or operated outside the law. In a post-war Los Angeles, where glamour masked corruption, such rumors spread fast. Her ex-husband claimed he hadn't seen her in weeks. His new wife confirmed his alibi. The police checked the studios, the Screen Extras Guild. No call sheet placed her on set. Witnesses at a grocery store saw her around 6 p.m., appearing to wait for someone. That was the last reliable sighting. Years passed. Families searched. Luella Parsons, a famous columnist, offered a reward. Tips rolled in. Someone thought they saw her in Phoenix. In Mexico City, none were confirmed. Evidence vanished. Case files faded. The note, the purse, fragments of truth, all floating in rumor and conjecture. Some theories grew louder: a botched abortion, organized crime involvement, Black Dahlia killer speculation because of the timing, geography, and dark fascination in LA tabloids. But no hard proof ever emerged. Not a body, not a name, not a confession.
Howard Hughes' Obsessions and Weird Behavior. He was one of the richest men in the world, a filmmaker, an aviator, a genius, and a recluse. But behind the fame and fortune, Howard Hughes was a man consumed by obsessions that grew darker with every year. His brilliance made him a legend, his paranoia made him a ghost. Born in 1905, Hughes inherited wealth and ambition from his father, who built a fortune through oil drilling equipment. But even as a child, Hughes was restless. At 12, he built his first radio transmitter. At 14, he was fixing mechanical engines. People called him gifted, he called himself different. That difference would later become both his power and his downfall. In his early 20s, he moved to Hollywood, a place where dreams and madness often shared the same room. He started Hughes Productions, spending millions to make films that broke boundaries. His 1930 film Hell's Angels cost nearly $4 million, an astronomical sum for its time. Hughes demanded realism to the point of obsession. He replaced actors mid-production, flew planes himself for aerial combat scenes, and delayed release for years until he could film the perfect sky battle. When Hell's Angels finally hit theaters, it changed aviation cinema forever and made Hughes both a visionary and a perfectionist no one wanted to work with. Then came his next creation, The Outlaw, 1943. The film wasn't just controversial, it was scandalous. The way Hughes showcased actress Jane Russell's figure infuriated censors. When the Hays Code demanded changes, Hughes famously redesigned the bra she wore, himself. His obsession with detailed beauty and control was unmatched and deeply personal. But as the 1940s turned into the 1950s, Hughes's obsessions stopped creating art and started consuming him. His fascination with aviation turned into dangerous risk. He set world airspeed records, but the thrill came at a cost. In 1946, while test flying the XF-11 reconnaissance aircraft, Hughes crashed in Beverly Hills, barely surviving. The crash shattered his body and something in his mind. From that moment on, the eccentricities grew. He started withdrawing from public life. He became terrified of germs, refusing to shake hands, avoiding human contact, and demanding total isolation. He would spend months inside darkened rooms, naked, surrounded by tissue boxes and sealed containers of milk. Assistants were forbidden to look at him directly. Everything had to be wrapped, pens, forks, even soap, to keep contamination away.